Jr.
All right, we're just sitting there talking to one of my favorite lawyers in Detroit. It's our legal segment. We're talking about who would inherit someone's property when someone passes away. What's the difference between stepchildren, adopted children, or even godchildren when it comes to this issue? Attorney Jahan Krupp Gibson is here from Great Lakes Legal Group. First of all, how you been?
Good.
Been a minute since I've seen you. You doing all right? Had a good holiday, all that stuff?
I did. Did you?
I did.
Good.
I did.
Good.
Now, this is something that you're seeing in court when it comes to someone who passes away and who gets the inheritance. What's the situation?
So a lot of times what we find is biological children either saying that an adoptive child shouldn't be inheriting, which is not the case. Adopted children do inherit. We can get into that. Or stepchildren that have not been legally adopted that think they're entitled to an inheritance. So we've seen an uptick in those types of cases lately.
How do you legally, especially when it comes to stepkids, what are they legally entitled to?
Nothing unless you leave it in a will or a trust.
Even if they grew up in the same house, grew up together, all of those things, the stepkids are legally entitled to zero unless it's detailed in a will or trust.
Exactly. Or there's always an exception. There's always an it depends.
Yeah.
There is a concept in Michigan called equitable adoption. Okay. And people have been able to advance theories under equitable adoption to be able to say I should inherit. But it's not enough that, you know, dad walked you down the aisle at your wedding or, you know, gave you the down payment for your house and always held you out as this child. There has to be something more, like that there was an agreement to adopt, right? Or maybe this person went to go see a lawyer years ago, but maybe the paperwork never got processed.
Wow.
But if you can successfully prove equitable adoption as a stepchild, you may be able to inherit. But imagine how long that takes, legal fees, all the drama. So if you're a step parent, and this happens in a lot of blended families, you love your stepkids, you know, just like you do your own, or maybe you don't have your own kids. If you want them to get something when you pass away, you've got to put it down in writing.
Now, there's godfather, godmother, and godchildren.
Yes.
Are they entitled to anything? Because I've never even really dealt with that term.
Yes.
Because I always like godfather.
Yes.
But not God. Are they entitled to anything?
So not unless it's written down. But a lot of times, because people take that role seriously. I know I do. I am godmother extraordinaire.
Go ahead.
That's just me. And my godchildren are in my trust, right?
Oh, nice.
So maybe, I hope they're not watching this. If you don't see me around tomorrow, you know what happened. But some folks take that role very seriously, right? And so they think, oh, this is my family. It's not. So if you want to provide for those godchildren, you absolutely need to put it in a will or trust.
How often do you see this kind of situation, especially with stepkids and biological kids? Is it happening?
Regularly.
Really?
Regularly, because there are a lot of blended families, right, that take all sorts of shapes and sizes, and if there are no documents, you know, and especially if you're dealing with, you know, mom passed away, then stepdad passed away, and then you're dealing with everyone. Well, this was originally my mom's, and this happened here, so it creates just a lot of drama that can be avoided if someone sits down and gets an estate plan done.
That is such the most important lesson here.
Yes.
Is have something.
Something.
And what's the best thing to have?
The best thing to have depends on what your assets are. It's either going to be a will or a trust, depending on what your assets and your wishes are. But something that's written down, witnessed, right? I mean, ideally you go to a lawyer, but if you absolutely can't afford to do that, handwritten wills in Michigan are recognized.
Witnessed by whom?
Two independent folks.
Okay.
Go get neighbor Kathy across the street or whatever and say, hey.
And they just have to sign and say, I witnessed
this person. I understood this to be her will, and it's, you know, partly in her handwriting, and it's signed by her, whatever the case is, but they're called holographic wills, so they are recognized here.
All right, thank you. If you want legal advice, go to Great Lakes Legal Group website. We'll have a link on our website at fox2detroit.com. Barrister's Ball is happening.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, you are.
Oh, yeah.
Such a good time.
My dress is ready.
Yeah, good job. We'll be right back.